Let's see if we're live. Just a second. I'm watching another monitor. Kind of looks like we're doing that. Am I live? Let's see. Almost there, guys. Already got advertisement on my own video. Am I live? Yes, I hear it. Now, okay, then it's good. Let me turn this down so I can check this live stream. It was kind of a surprise to still make a live stream because I figured out that I'm here and I got some good news for all of you. It's mostly personal. I don't know if you care, but whatever. I'm just going to put it out there. Like very soon I'm going to move to a new location and things are going to be different. I will be try to build my own kind of studio, so to speak, and hopefully I can live stream a little bit more. We'll see how that's gonna work, but I'm moving out this location and moving to a different location very soon. And maybe I'm doing one buying review a week or a month, or two live streams a month. I don't know exactly yet because I really like to stream as well because it's just in the moment and I can put a lot of information in there, hopefully. So I will not ramble on too long, but I like to do that. And for the people that don't know, like I really like my mission is really to document every desirable car on the planet. So first the desirable cars, then the not so desirable cars, because I kind of want to document every car here on the planet, and we have the internet. I do my research when it comes to cars, and I want to be like a Wikipedia kind of. That is the vision for my channel and the next coming years. So that's a big job, but I like to make content. I like to use computers and the internet to achieve that, and we're gonna see how that works. My website is also updated. It's now at klbproductions.org because we used to also make different kind of content like beats and stuff like that, but now it's only video related. I also have a scooter. Sometimes I also make content about that, because it's a cheap way to still deal with combustion engines, even if it's a two-stroke engine, maybe some videos will surface, not on this channel, but on another channel, but by that time I will promote it. Okay, enough of that. Let's just go to the Audi A3. And why is the Audi A3 a nice car? You could go for Volkswagen Golf. We call it Golf. Maybe in the United States they call it Rabbit, or they call it Rabbit in South America. I'm not really sure. But the Audi A3 is basically more luxurious version of the Golf. And this is basically a hatchback, so 3-door or 5-door, perfect if you commute to work every day and occasionally have some people dropping in the back. So they have various generation, and I think the first generation hit the market in 97, at least the late 90s, 96, 97-ish. The A3 came out. And this one is from 2001, the cheapest one here in the Netherlands. 1.6, almost 300,000 kilometers driven, gearbox problem. Let's move on. So these are all bargains. You see the kilometers they put on there, even with a 1.8, and the 1.8 5 valve. It's a very good, very strong engine. It's still used up until this day. 2-3 months ago, I uploaded a video with a Seat in it, Seat Leon. They also had the 1.8 with a turbo. It has a long track record within VIG, the Volkswagen Audi group, and it's a very strong engine. So a 1.8 I would recommend. So for 1,300, you buy a car here. Is it a dog? I don't know. Look, the paint job still looks okay. This is the first generation, 97, late 90s. They were just hitting the market. They had to have something that kind of rival within their own group, because they already had the Golf out. But if the Golf was too ordinary for you, you could buy the Audi. It's all about image. 5 valve, One, two, three, four. It's a 4-cylinder, 1.8 without a turbo. Yeah, what do you expect? You need to give it a good clean, some new floor mats and stuff like that. But would I do it? I don't know. I don't think so. I would I would at least spend 5K on a car. Never this. No, because you can buy it for 1,300. Yes, you can, but you need to spend at least another 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5K and get it up to running. And personally, I don't know who drives a car like this, because if a car looks like this, when I don't know, to me it looks like somebody that doesn't care about cars. If if you catch my drift, I would never like if your house looks like this. How are you going to look at the owner? It's a car. Yeah, you can see it as an object that you use every day, definitely. But for me, it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot about the owner, really. So yeah, let's move on. All right, let's see. These are all kind of dirt cheap. 1.6, 2002. Hey, the mileages on these cars are quite astronomical, especially here. This one, the 2003, the 1.9 TDI. They still ask almost 1,500 for it, but the 1.9 TDI was so unbeatable. It was such a engine that was created in the 90s, and in the 90s diesel was still relatively, it was not new, but it didn't hit mainstream. If you did a lot of miles, yes, you had a diesel, but the diesels were so much slower than the petrol. So they needed to come up with a new concept engine, and that's the TDI. So it's a turbo diesel injection, that's what it stands for. And the turbo will give maybe 20 horsepower extra. That would give the punch. So you could still drive quite economical, and when you floor it, it still had some punch, comparable to a petrol engine. So when you drive lots of miles and you have a engine, I used to have a Volkswagen Polo with only 75 horsepower. When you don't have enough power, that's really, driving will become much more a hassle, because you need to compete with other cars that have more power, and you need to anticipate a lot more, basically. Guys, 464,000, almost 465,000. They still ask 1,500 for it. Oh my God, that's a lot of kilometers. But the car did it in 20 years, basically. It's a 2003, so it's 20 years old, and almost 400. Yeah, that means it's been driven a lot, which is not necessarily a bad thing. If you still get the parts for it, then what's wrong with it? You see, this has barely been set in. Here you see it's been set in, but what are you buying? Let's say, for instance, you really want a cheap transportation. And the 1.9, the first generation TDI, is almost indestructible. Certain engines, you replace parts and it keeps on going forever. You just need to calculate that you need to do some proper maintenance, but the car will keep on running. And it does look like a 1,500 euro car, definitely. But Audi I love Audis, but after 2005, I lost my interest. But this is still, it's a neat car. It's nothing wrong with it. Astronomical mileage, astronomical. 100 horsepower from a 4-cylinder, 1.8 non-turbo. Oh, it is a turbo, of course. Sorry, TDI. It has a turbo. So without the turbo, it's probably around 80 horsepower or something. It's yeah, interesting. Let's see if we find something fancy. 1.9 TDI, 2004. I think they had, in 2005, I think the second generation came, but we will see that. This is one of the earliest models of the second generation. I also always had kind of love these. When I was about to get my driver's license, I always, when people say, "What's the first car you're gonna buy?" I always said this. I don't know why now, but this seemed like a decent car to me. I don't know, but when I look at it now, I think it doesn't age that well. But I'm sure, I'm sure it's good to drive still up until this day. But I drive a few VAG products. I drive a Polo. I drive a Golf. I drive a Passat once, an old one also from the 2000s. It's all nice, and everything that you have in your hand, it's good. The shifting gears, it's fine. It's a bit rubbery without feel. Audi also has that. Um, what can I say? These are nice and well put together products, but they lack soul. It's not a BMW. It's not a Mercedes. You know that you're dealing with a product that's built for mainstream. And mainstream, I mean, like, oof, man, look at the rust. They don't make all Audis from aluminium, I suppose. No, they don't. Well, this looks still quite nice, but probably because not a lot of people sat in there before. The old cellular phone stuff, this is so early 2000s. You gotta love it. Yeah, but we're gonna move on. This is also diesel, and diesel here in Europe is really under a magnifying glass since the diesel gate happened with Volkswagen. For me, free advice: if you really want to do lots of miles and you think, okay, I got this new employer, or I need to drive 200 kilometers a day for the foreseeable future, and it will end in 2 years from now, buy yourself a cheap diesel. Buy this car, for instance. Like you bring 2,000 euros to the table, and you invest another 2,000 or 3,000 in it. You spend 5,000 euros on the car. Or what can go wrong? You can change all the injectors, new spark plugs in it, new oil in it, all the basic things that an engine need to kind of keep it healthy, you change. What's that going to cost you? 2,000? 3,000? Do it. 5,000 euros. For some people, it's a lot of money. It's also a lot of money for me. But when I think about a car, it's not a lot of money. And these cars, they don't depreciate anymore. Yeah, maybe you cannot enter the city no more, but you find another alternative route. If you drive outside the city to an industrial zone and from home to an industrial zone and back, and you don't need to go into the city, and you want to go to the city, you go to some kind of, we call it here park and ride, PR here in Holland. Then you take a bus to the city and you keep your car at the edge or the outside zone of the city, basically, because you cannot enter it because you have a Euro 2 or Euro 3 diesel. But let me tell you, Euro 2 and Euro 3 diesels are better than modern diesels. Why? Because they don't need to worry about emissions. Emissions happen when you have a combustion engine. But when you need to fiddle around to keep the CO2 as low as possible, you're gonna suffocate the engine one way or the other. You're gonna do that. You're either gonna build up a very difficult emission system or difficult software or whatever it is. If a diesel is warm and you're riding on the highway, you can drive 100,000 kilometers, keep on going, keep on going. And yeah, you have some emissions, but those engines are built to last. Now we do everything in our power to keep the CO2 down, and it really has a big toll on the longevity of the car. So in the end, you're paying more, it's more expensive, and it's even worse for the environment because you need to buy a new car every 5, 10, 15 years. Something to think about. Let's move on. 2003, 2002, 2006, Sportsback with the FSI. This was, I don't think it's a turbocharged unit, but this was after the 1.8 and the 1.4 non-turbo stuff from this company. Let's move on. Let's see. This is almost 2,000 euros. 2006. 270k driven, which is a lot. It's a 1.9 2 liter. It's a 2 liter, right? Yes, a 2 liter. Let me get some more specs. 150 horsepower. What can I say? We should move out of this bin, but 2,000 euros, you can buy yourself this. Same knob I had in my Polo. Fantastic. I'm sure it will still serve you well for a couple of years if need to, but you don't buy a 2,000 euro car and not expect to have to change anything. That's just not how it works. That's because in this world everybody needs to make money one way or the other. So you think, this is quite a nice deal. Don't buy this car with your last 2,000. Don't do that. Just don't. Let's move up the ranks a bit and go to cars that are worth a bit more. We have a lot of results. Let's move into the 5K range. Let's do that. Maybe then it's get a little bit more interesting. Let me do this. Cool. Now 6K, 2008, the one here. A 1.4 for this car. You're driving an Audi with a 1.4, and I'm sure it's a TFSI. So first they started with the FSI because they only produce like what, 120, 40, 150 horsepower. The turbo adds another 20 to 30. It's just that extra punch that you need. But now it's all turbocharged, and I love turbos because of the kick. But a turbo goes, it's 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 in repairs as well. I don't want to think very negatively, but all these extra features is just an accident waiting to happen, basically. But let's just go here. This is almost the same amount I bought my Polo for. My Polo was a 2004 Polo with a 1.4 as well, but non-turbo, just naturally aspirated, 4-cylinder, 75 horsepower. I don't know how many Newton meters, but it was a dog, and it had a 4-speed automatic, but it was advertised as a car that was sold for with 50. Do I say correctly? 54. 45,000 kilometers. That's not a lot for a car that was at the time 8 years old. It's already shady, but I didn't know that back then. And the car served me well. But there's a few times that I drove the car and the oil check light came on. And I've been reading the internet also back then that they say VIG products, their engines, they use oil. It's just a product characteristic. I mean, talking about a nice marketing term. Okay, but how many liters? They can use up to 1 liter every 1,000 kilometers. When your engine does that, there's something wrong with your engine. Bottom line, it's not a engine characteristic. An engine shouldn't use 1 liter of oil every 1,000 kilometers. That's wrong, because eventually you're going to have problems with your catalytic converter. Maybe it's leaking oil, but when it's burning this kind of oil, all these fumes go to the exhaust in the catalytic converter. You're going to have some problems with your sensors, with a lot of stuff going on, and not to mention engine oil is quite expensive. So whatever they tell you, it's not right. And the most interesting stuff about this story, I had this car for 2 years. Yes, I did a lot of miles with them because I got the car and I drove with it in 4 years, 100,000 kilometers, a little bit more than that. So it was quite a lot that I drove with it, but it was only highway kilometers. At a certain point, I had a mechanic looking at it because they did the annual check, and they found the water pump not to be the original part on a car that has driven more than 50,000 kilometers when I bought it. And then I put maybe 30, 40,000 kilometers on top of it. It's still below 100,000, right? And they already swapped the water pump for non-original product. That told me enough. The car never let me be stranded at the side of the road, but it's a shady world out there, man. So if you got some money, you want to buy a good car, buy a little bit more expensive. All right, moving on. 2008. So this is well into the facelift. It looks all right. It's not super expensive, but I'm sure it will serve you right. Nothing wrong with it. 5-speed. Very unclear pictures. Not focused at all. Moving on. Something a little bit more that speaks to the attention. Proline is always looking nice. Yeah, the Proline versions are, that's how you want it. The car, especially in Audi, it needs to pop a bit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is a 6-speed. Maybe the other one was as well. The 6 is just an overdrive, basically, for the highway. Typical VIG, huh? This looks like aftermarket, because this is 2009, and in 2009 I still rocked a Nokia. So this is aftermarket, but it looks okay. I think it looks okay. This looks like Google Maps as well. Is it? No, it's not. Doesn't matter. Okay, Suzuki dealer and Audi dealer, and some general. You see the stamps are here on the left, Audi dealer, and on the right they are from a general dealer that deals with everything, and here on the left you see Suzuki. So it's been all over the place. It probably had multiple owners as well. And what kind of oil they put in it. This is RDW, which is our MDV, motoring division, whatever. I don't know how you call it in America. Please let me know in the comments. But this is where they put, like, you drive a car, you have an annual check, and when you do that check, they also do a double check on how much kilometers you make. They put it into a system. It's like it's a database that for everybody that works in the car industry, like a garage or whatever it is, and the government. On this particular car with this license plate has done so much miles at this time. But there's still people that, they make a picture the day that their car is being checked. They say, okay, so many miles are in the system. This year I'm going to drive 80K, but I'm going to take 40K off it, right? And I can do that in between checks. It's not waterproof. People are going to mess with it anyway. And it really depends on the car. I'm not sure if this does anything to the value, actually. I think some people really look at mileages. Others don't. When I buy a car, I would look at service history most. Because if you have a car, for instance, what I just talked about, the Polo, if the water pump has been replaced at 80K, just as a preventive measure before at 100k it can go wrong, then you know you have a well-maintained car. Then you know that you have somebody that has knowledge and is not afraid to put money in the car to make it run and operate the way it should be. That's way more valuable than kilometers, because I can have a bulletproof engine and drive in the city all day, brake, brake, accelerate, but somebody else drives from here to the other side of Europe, and he does that twice a month, and he put way more miles on it. I'd rather have that car because he's been on the highway almost of the time when the engine is warm, it's up to full temperature, you don't need to brake, you don't need to constantly shift. And if the road is not bumpy, also the chassis doesn't have to suffer that much. So that's way better, actually. Giving you some knowledge up in here. Let's go up. An S3. Man, this looks good, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Nowadays, I mean, when you drive up like this, 209 horsepower, man, from a 4-cylinder, 1.8 with a turbo. Yeah, so this was the 1.8 that we talked about earlier, but now they added a turbo, and now it exceeded 200 horsepower. The first S3, I don't even know if they made a RS3 from this one, but weird pictures. Like in a glance, it looks all fine. What they asked for this? Yeah, you don't know what you're buying. We here have the A3 as a convertible. I would not understand why you would buy a car like this, because a convertible need to be long. I would rather buy a Chrysler Stratus, way cheaper, maybe all the technology, maybe not sportive at all, but that looks like a nice shape. Or a Volvo or anything else, but not an A3. This looks super pretentious. Yeah, look at this. This is nah, not my style. Let me put it like this. And what do you ask for this? Yeah, 2009, 14 years old, huh? Yeah, 14 years old. How many kilometers? Quite some miles on it in this time, in 14 years. But that's not okay. That's not bad. 1.8 turbo, almost 7k. It could be a nice summer car, but when I look at this, for me, nah, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Let's scout some nice Audi. Sportback 1.2. A 1.2 with an S-Line package. That's for me the main gripe when it comes to Audi. It all looks it looks pretentious, right? How are you going to put an S-Line on a 1.2? I don't know. You can get away with it because it's extra options. It's good for Audi. But what is this? Custom. Air ride. Yeah. This comes straight out of Need for Speed, doesn't it? Is this 2000? No. I'm sure this is expensive, but who's gonna buy this? Look how low it is to the ground. Oh my god. This is so Need for Speed. Need for Speed Underground. Oh my. Hey, but it does look nice. Somebody put a lot of money in this, and it still looks ugly. And now he's gonna sell it. I didn't catch the price, but let me let me just check. Oh my god, this is Shui or something, man. 2000. I hope this is a real mileage. 150. What is the engine? a 4-cylinder, just a normal one, the 1.8, the 5 valve, or with a turbo. He wasted a lot of money on the car. I cannot say otherwise. Let's find something interesting so you have a bit of idea how the Dutch car market looks like. And this is a search engine that searches other websites. So this is my main website to go. That's how I always look at cars most of the time. 2010. That's not bad. 2010. 13 years old. A 1.4, yes. 200,000 kilometers driven. It's a bit too much for me, actually. But it looks all right. It looks like a nice car. Got the blue brake calipers on there. $2010, huh? Yeah, still, when you ask me, this is looking good. It's looking nice. When you just want to go from A to B in a little bit of style, and you really are a freak when it comes to brands and stuff, this is nice. This looks aftermarket as well. Service, yes. Not bad for 7K. But let's go a TFSI, so it's a turbocharged unit. It doesn't look that bad for the money, actually. But only 125 horsepower. It's not a lot. 1.4 4-cylinder with a turbo. I don't know, guys. 7K, huh? Close to 8K. What else you got? One point four, 1.4. 2013, 10 years old, diesel as well. The Ultra Edition, the TDI, I think they had this like kind of the Blue Motion for Volkswagen was the Ultra from Audi. I'm not sure. I never really looked at diesels. But again, if you need to drive lots of kilometers in the next 2-3 years, buy yourself an old diesel. And maybe even one from 2000. But it really depends on what your destination is going to be. If you have a fixed destination and it's not in the city, buy yourself an old diesel. These cars will, with the right maintenance, with the right parts in there, you can drive them another 200, 300,000 kilometers. And you'll be laughing your ass off. Definitely. When they don't depreciate anymore, they're built for life. Just a few things that you need to do. And because they're diesel, nobody wants them. So you purchase the car for not a lot of money. You need to make sure that replacement parts, original ones, are still available. And if you do that, check, you're laughing your ass off. You're gonna have a good car. But it really depends if you still, because it's the government that's constantly on your neck to say you cannot go here, you need to have Euro 5, you need to have Euro 6, the emissions standards to enter the city center. But if you only need to go to industrial zone or something and home, so outside the city, yeah, there are like 97, 98 CDI, 200 or 220 CDI. These cars are dirt cheap right now. And first thing, most important thing that you have to check is service history, and second is if parts are still available. You buy a car like that for 2K, put another 2K in there, and you're good to go. These cars were built to last, and not like this modern day stuff. Oh, look at this. Somebody modded their Audis again. Let me check. Yes. We're there. A 3.2 quattro means four in Italian. So it's a four-wheel drive quattro DSG automatic with 284 kilometers already on it. But it looks quite beautiful. Oh, and I'm sure somebody drive hard in this. See the upgrades that they make. Not particularly pretty. This is a nice picture though. But look at the grill. It's not what I would prefer, but okay, they take the license plate off. I see. But you already know that somebody been tampering with it. I mean, come on. But this is a 3.2. It's a V6, I think, not a 6 in line. I think it's a V6 with 250 horsepower. Apparently, maybe they even have a tune on it. It's from March 2006. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's also not very representable. And judging on the pictures, this is a guy that really like to drive it hard and also do some modifications to it. You're buying a project car. That's what I can distill from this kind of pictures. And I'm not for that actually. I'm not. Give me an S3 from the factory, by people that put the right software on it, that knew what they were doing, and not somebody that just thinks that they know what they're doing. And of course, you have very well specialized people that know exactly what they're doing. They have the tools. They even know how to rewrite the ECU to get more power from the engine and all that stuff. Definitely. You have those people out there, but nobody can give you a guarantee on a hobby project. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Let's move on. Let's just go for an S3 right now and see what they got. Let's go to the most expensive ones and then we close this live stream. Okay, this is okay. I want not too recent. I want up until 2018. Yes, we still got a lot. What is Mini doing here? 2.5. This is the 5-cylinder. The RS3 Quattro 60K hasn't driven a lot. 65,000. How many horsepower this has? I'm so curious about that. It's an import. Oh wait. Yes. .1 second from 0 to 60. That's quite amazing. Okay, we don't know the power output, but this is quite a recent RS3 Quattro. Not a very big fan of Audi nowadays, but I'm sure this drives like pretty well. I like this garbage bag gray. We have garbage bags here in the Netherlands that has the same kind of color. That's why I call it that. Nice rims on it. You see, it's something special. Without it's a bit shouty, but not too much. If you remove this one, then it would be more of a sleeper. But hey, let me see the interior, how it looks. I'm sure it's quite modern. And I'm sure it's a beautiful car. Yeah, you see you have the integrated Google Maps in there. This is torque. And this is vermogen, horsepower, I think. Yeah, it's got everything you need. DSG is buttery smooth. But I want to see more about the engine. Because I think this is the 5-cylinder, right? Yes, this is the 5-cylinder. And I'm a great fan of the 5-cylinder because it makes such a great noise. It's in between the 4 and the 6, of course. Makes a lot of sense, a 5-cylinder. Let's see what else we got. These are all quite expensive. The 2.5 is the 2.5 5 inline with a turbo and quattro. That's gonna be that's quite an enjoyment, I'm sure, to drive this. They also have this in the limousine version, so you have two extra doors. It's a little bit more practical. Let's see. Do I like it? It's not bad, you know. I like the back actually. Here, this is to show you how modern this. Not bad. But this is a bit too much. It's just on the edge. But that's when you talk about the design wise. I think the engineering and the way it looks, if you want a fast hatch that you sit in mostly by yourself, and maybe one time you bring one or two or three friends, four friends, and you don't need to sit in the car the whole day, then this is the perfect car for you. I'm sure it can fit one large suitcase or two small ones. You don't need much more. 50K, you can buy it. But it's already from 50K for a car that's from 2017, it's 6 years ago, with 90K in it, and I'm sure they're not easy kilometers. The five-cylinder is with Audi for a very long time already. It's not only Volvo, but also Audi. They have a long track record as well, and this is probably the last generation or the one after that. I'm not really sure, but this is definitely the end of an era when it comes. Audi is also not making the five in line no more. Maybe the last RS3 version that's in production right now, they still do that, but after that, everything is so emissions based, and there's a different time coming. Let's see what else we got. Sportback. This is all RS3 territory. It's quite still a lot on it. Sportsback. Quattro panoramic roof. Here you have the S3, 2 liter with 310 horsepower. It's quite a lot, but also a lot of money for a convertible. But you have a very pretty convertible with a nice sound. So this is the S3 then. Yeah. Yeah, when you really got a lot of money, you give this to your wife. With all due respect, like, men don't drive convertibles. I don't know. It's just, but that's my opinion. Look, this is so high tech. This is the Apple of cars. Audi just got it right with the technology and the feeling, and it's all about the feeling and how it works. Audi got that right. Well, I'm slowly going to have to log out again, but I think it's a good impression of what's out there here in the Netherlands. And you see the prices for cars are quite high. Of course, now we're in the higher level. We also select the highest price. But when you go from low to high, I mean, for 750 euros, you can already buy a car. And this is the first generation A3 with the 1.6. I mean, it's very uninspiring, and it probably doesn't even run, or maybe it has a gearbox problem. So you buy it for 750 euros, 2001. Here the steering wheel is so, let's see, 102 horsepower, 300,000 kilometers driven. Yeah, it really depends. It really depends. You need to at least put another 1,000 in it. Let's say 2,000. Then you're still under 3K. But this car, it's not only the gearbox, it's also the engine, and it's the 1.6 with just over 100 horsepower. 2001, it's 22 years old. You can buy a cheap Audi. You can, definitely. And yeah, shoot you. If you buy within VAG anyway, then you might as well go for Volkswagen or Seat or something like that. I wouldn't necessarily go for an Audi. Or you need to go for an older Audi like this. It is from a different era. The 90s and the early 2000s, they were quite good actually, especially diesels. And what I say, the 1.8, I would never go for the 1.6, but then I want the legendary 1.8, and they also had the 1.8 with a turbo, I suppose. Let me check that for you right now. Audi A3 Wikipedia, let me see. So the first generation, okay. First generation, yes, this one. We're talking about this generation. We did have safety S3 engines, the 1.8 20 valve turbo. They already had that. He had that in various power outputs. He had the 150 horsepower, the 180 horsepower, and the 210 horsepower variant. I think 180 is plenty, right? So I would opt for the 1.8 turbo. It has a long tracker record. It has it's very tunable as well, and it's still around up until this day, and quite modern products around. So not bad at all. I'm gonna sign off here, guys. It was nice to do another live streaming. Hopefully next month I'm gonna be in my new location and I can stream from there. I'm planning to set up a studio later this year to do more live streaming sessions like this. I love to make content. I like to put more videos out, especially this type of videos. It's all freestyle. It's like I like that a lot. It's even better than the scripted videos I do. But of course, SEO, when you talk about the search engine and stuff and traffic, live streams don't make that much. They make no money. Let me be honest about that. But I like to make them more because I do have a certain feeling that I am interacting with all the subscribers out there. And hopefully afterwards you can just put your questions in there, or during the live stream I always have a second screen up to see if any questions come in. Regardless, I'm going to keep on making content because I like to do it. Wish you guys a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and we catch you on in the next video.